The market's been interesting.
Being able to solve the world's hardest challenges.
Big call for Apple to make.
And I think there is a parallel to comfort and just apprehension of just not knowing.
It's just interesting seeing how that's affecting the populace.
Someone's got to step up with some standards.
Protect against it in your own business.
We're not at the point of fully agentic for those critical things.
It could be correct, it's just bad.
It almost seems like witchcraft and wizardry. Sometimes it doesn't get it right. We'll see what the next leapfrog version does.
Hey everybody, you're on episode 11 of AI Unplugged. I'm here today at our sales kickoff with three of my favorite people, Chris Fellow, Evan Zemus, and Andrew Sinclair.
Hey, Trav.
Hi Andrew, how are you today?
Good evening.
I'm happy to be here. SKO is always a great time. Get everyone aligned, fired up for a new year. 2025 was big for us, and it sounds like it's only getting bigger around Gen AI. Certainly, we're seeing certain trends like enterprise adoption, insatiable spending for the hyperscalers. It seems like we placed the right bet a few years ago because things are only growing faster. Yeah,
it's been a tremendous 2025 for us here at Innovative. We've seen a lot of growth ourselves, and a lot of our customers are adopting technologies in different and creative ways, and we've had some naysayers along the way. But the market's been interesting, right? There's a lot of new buzz that's occurring and issues that are happening, and we're here to talk about what's happening in the news. So, Andrew, what's our first topic?
Yeah, one of the things I saw was obviously ChatGPT, OpenAI, came out with 5.2, and it seems like a less of a huge leapfrog than some of the new releases were, right? It used to be these wars, and what was new is now old, and just huge advancements. But it seems like we're getting more incremental increases. Do you think that's just this cycle, or that's what we're going to see from here on out?
I have an opinion. None of you guys have an opinion, but I think it's two issues. One, I think it's getting harder and harder to train at that scale with a high quality at the same cadence that people expected before. So you're just not getting as much out of it. And the second is eventually people have to slow down training because training is really expensive. And you got to figure out a way to make money on it, right? And so that's like sort of that COGS, OPEX model of where you spend your cash. If you're training all the time, you're probably burning a lot of capital, right, to make these new models. And you eventually have to slow down, I assume. I don't know, you guys. What do you guys think?
Don't they still want to make it like newsworthy, though, for the new releases to get some buzz and more active users?
Yeah, I think so.
They do.
Or is the frequency of releases what they want to see? Like they're always iterating. Like, will they delay features to make a bigger splash, to Evan's point, or is it more valuable for these organizations to have consistent releases to show they're relevant and they're innovating faster?
I guess it depends on what the consumer wants. I mean, Chris, do you buy a new iPhone every year when it comes out?
No.
Right? Why not?
Features, the jump in feature set and improvements usually aren't big enough. They don't seem big enough for me to say, okay, let's do it all over again.
Right.
The iPhone's an interesting example because in the news recently, they announced that instead of using potentially OpenAI and ChatGPT to power Siri, that they were going into a partnership with largely their rival, Google, who competes with them in Android, using Gemini for Siri, which I'm all for. Siri is almost unusable. I use it now to say, hey Siri, ask GPT to blank.
Oh my God.
But I've been using Gemini more and more in my personal life. So maybe it is ChatGPT losing a little bit of an edge to Google. I mean, that's a big call for Apple to make. It multi-billion dollars.
Yeah. Is it? I don't think Apple would buy in to models if they felt the models to be changing that dramatically every year. They want consistency. That's how they're known for, right? The walled garden, but you know what you're getting type of experience. So I suspect that people are just investing a little bit less in net new models and spending more time on integrations, just like you would with Siri and your phone, right? You care a lot about how those two things interact.
Is it based off the user, though? Because you have more folks that are maybe more technical that have a preference on what they use versus someone that just looks for the latest and greatest and like, oh my God, this is new release. Let's see what's going on there versus, someone that is very maybe loyal to what their favorites are for whatever reason. Like you mentioned the iPhone users, some people do wait for the new iPhone to come out and they just continue to upgrade. So I wonder if it's the same thing amongst, users ChatGPT, or if they like Claude or whatever else.
Yeah. Have you used other models other than, you use a lot of Claude, right? I think.
I use Claude,
Yeah.
Grok for some things. It's a little more provocative and maybe bold than some of the traditional.
Isn't Grok getting a lot of heat right now?
Yeah, it's things about when you ask to do maybe some risque requests,
like porn. Could you say porn?
Maybe not even that much, but like, hey, put this famous politician in swimwear.
Oh,
right. Things that maybe they wouldn't agree with, and yes, it probably does get worse from there. I haven't personally tested those myself.
Chris, you have, right?
That's the heat, right? And so I think there's conversations coming from manufacturers themselves. So OpenAI is saying, hey, maybe we should think about age restrictions and verification. So self-policing, maybe getting in front of the legislative rules that may come out from different countries. But it doesn't sound like there's a unified strategy from these governments. So it's either comes from them as companies themselves, or someone's got to step up with some standards just to nip that in the bud.
I don't use it for that purpose either, but I do see it that,
You just say that up front?
Yeah, I have to preface my my response there. But no, I've used it for more subjective questions that when I ask ChatGPT, like, hey, what's the best sneaker? It'll give me a bunch of just, I don't know, bland or vanilla answers, where Grok will be like, hey, these are the three based off of our research, which I kind of like that bold response to maybe some subjective
more definitive
questions. Yeah.
Less waffling.
Yeah.
I heard ChatGPT is also going to be doing the not safe for work variation, just like maybe in a bit more like polished way than Grok did, right? For surprising people, like they're going to do like the, there's a ChatGPT for everybody, and then there's like the after hours ChatGPT over here, right?
After dark.
After dark.
It kind of reminds me of when a lot of the social media platforms were coming out. They were saying, okay, are we responsible for our own content moderation as like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of them when they came out, Twitter, certainly, now X. Or is it like the internet where it's just, a free for all? The market will choose what is going to be regulated, and, they're going to wait for someone to step in and set some rules. It seems like a very close parallel between those.
Yeah. Yeah. Chris, you have kids, right? Do they use ChatGPT?
Indirectly.
Indirectly. What do you use it for?
Oh, we use it every night to create our own stories and bedtime stories and things like that, and imagery and so forth. So I'm very closely moderating all of it. Right. But in that sense, it's been amazing because it kind of unlocks another dimension of creativity, or at least allows my son's creativity to kind of be, guided into something that's a little more tangible.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of fun with it, and we've been doing it for, 9 months now, but my kids won't go to bed without it now.
Why ChatGPT? That's really cool, by the way. But like, what is it that...
It wasn't a cognitive choice. It was just,
okay.
I already have the premium subscription, and so we're just hacking away and creating some really cool stuff. But yeah, it's just one thing that I've used in my personal life that has seemed to catch on. And but no usage directly with them. I do worry about the amount of information I'm putting out there, regardless of all the safety assurances. And
right.
It knows kind of my son's names, and it knows their ages, and it knows their hair color, and it knows that one wears glasses, and it kind of remembers all this stuff. So is that a good thing? Is it a little scary at the same time? It kind of gives me a little bit of pause, but
yeah,
we're still using it in the same way we were 6 months ago. So
that's fair. Have you seen from your customers, because you're on our sales team here at Innovative, right? Have you seen from like companies like this adoption that they're working through the different guardrails, the different requirements that we're hearing now about like different models behaving in different ways? Has that come up more and more in the enterprise space or in the SMB space?
Where I run into those conversations most is, with SaaS providers, hardly ever, because they're kind of just architecting for a solution and maybe figuring out all the refinement stuff later. But when you do get into organizations with data sensitivity or data sovereignty concerns, we work with an oncology organization right now who just flat out will not work with AI.
Wow.
Their CEO has put out a standard that, they are just not allowing the technology anywhere near any of the data. Mm-hmm. So there's a really wide variety still of those of the spectrum of folks, but I think Innovative is obviously gravitating toward customers who are ready and willing to experiment, not only experiment, but find those, top use cases that they can bring, value to their customers or, their other constituents.
The dichotomy is interesting. And I do think the market seems to be bifurcating between enterprises that, survey after survey shows are moving from budgets that were kind of POCs and testing into full-scale production, huge budgets. Like Gartner is saying, Gen AI infrastructure for the hyperscalers is going to be $500 billion, and Gen AI as a whole, just outside of infrastructure, is going to be over $1 trillion in 2026.
Wow.
So I think these were numbers that got pulled forward from future projections. And a lot of it is being driven by enterprises, big financial institutions. And yet we see these smaller companies saying, no, I don't trust it. We don't quite have budget yet. We're still in the POC phase. So maybe it's like large versus small.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if other technology industry trends were the same way, where the large lead and the small follow. I suppose they have.
Yeah, in some cases, right? I think a lot of times larger enterprises look to startups as acquisition targets for that innovation that they themselves are struggling to do, right? So maybe that's where large leads, right? Enterprises lead. They lead through acquisition, and that sends a notification to the market as to what's valuable or not, right? Some interesting things I've learned over the last few weeks in particular is there's been a lot of new studies and surveys have come out showing that there's a growing divide as to enterprise leaders who get value out of AI or not. And I think there's like this murkiness in the market right now as to, is the investment paying off and how long do you have to wait? How do you measure ROI on this today? Are you guys seeing that in the market when you talk to people? Has it come up at all? Just curiously.
I've seen those same surveys.
Yeah.
There's great skepticism.
Right.
So you wonder if it is just the hype that has gotten ahead and the market catches up and you just need time to see the return on those investments, or whether the industry has gotten over their skis.
Yeah.
I think it's hard for us to believe it's the latter, because any new conversation that we get brought into, it's customers that are really excited about a use case.
The bias that we see.
Be it large, that's going to transform their business, or small, that's going to let them get their feet wet understanding the technology. But again, to your point, Chris, some of it may be self-selection, because we do have that brand and we are looking for those customers that are going to be the early adopters, willing to try things, willing to invest.
Right.
The hesitation. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
Well, the hesitation that I see now with AI is very similar. I'm sure you remember 10 years ago, just talking about cloud.
Yeah. I was literally just going to say that. I think there's a parallel
customers
between customers that just weren't educated, 5-10 years ago about cloud computing, and the worry about risk is the same type of individuals we come across today. And I think sometimes we have to educate them and just help teach, how this can benefit their business. We walk them through the exercise of, hey, AI can help you do X, Y, and Z, and I'll almost help them, usher them along to build out the business case to get more comfort. And that's where we're trying to get them to dip their toe in the water, so to speak, so they can really feel some of the benefits and the value there. So that's what I think we're seeing. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think there is a parallel to comfort and just apprehension of just not knowing some of the benefits and maybe being scared of it too, right? I mean, it takes jobs today. So I think there's maybe some concern from people of like, man, this could replace me. I don't know if I want to dive
You're right.
in.
There's strong parallels there. I remember, first talking about cloud technologies, even virtualization. It's folks that said, well, I'm the hardware person. I run all the operating systems. Why would I want to virtualize? Similarly, people that really owned and operated data centers saying, well, this is how I feed my family. It's my bread and butter. It's my whole experience. Why would I send all this up to the cloud for someone else to manage services, right? Same type of question. And, you see very public numbers come out, even from Amazon, right? Where in Q4, I think on the Amazon.com side of the house, there was a reduction in force, rumors of an expected one to happen on AWS. And a lot of the chatter that I see from, colleagues and friends that I used to work with, is that it's impacting the software developers, the SDEs, the product managers, because people are using those Gen AI tools to do more with less. Mm-hmm. And Microsoft themselves said 30% of software that they are writing in product development is coming from generative AI products that they have. So, I mean, all companies are going to be seeing that. I think obviously small businesses are going to be worried about that. But we're a small business, right? And I don't think we do see that. We see our folks doing more with the same probably,
Yes.
but not less.
Right. I mean, I'll say maybe you can speak on for service delivery, but even sales, like we haven't grown our sales team. You know what I mean? But we've been growing steadily, and we're leveraging more tools and processes that we're benefiting from AI that make our jobs easier.
You know, someone today at our SCO sales kickoff on our pre-sales team, they said that with the AI tooling that we have, which is a bit unique in the market, they're able to put out scopes of work at a dramatically faster pace at a really high quality bar that they would have not had at previous companies before, right? And I think you're right. Like we look at it and we say, that's not taking jobs, but it is stopping us from wanting to open new ones.
I agree.
Right? So and there's becoming an expectation to some extent. Like there was a gentleman who left the company and also in the pre-sales space, went to a different company. He called me up like a couple months ago and he goes, I'm at this new place now. We don't have the tooling I had before, and I feel a little lost. Like he just got used to it, right, to some extent. And so it's just interesting seeing how that's affecting the populace as they shift between businesses that have not all caught up in the same way. Just super interesting right now where we are in the market. It feels like some companies are just really far ahead and some just aren't.
It's a luxury. I think it's a luxury for us because any new feature we need, we just kind of build in.
Right.
And we're just like, oh, yeah, we can do that. No problem.
It's a luxury that almost feels like a necessity now.
Yeah, right.
To me, anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, what was I doing a year ago without some of the tools I have right now?
Right.
Well, Chris, you led a great session just today on how you use our Gen AI tool, Darcy IQ, which we've demoed and talked about, to increase your productivity.
Plug right there.
Yeah, I thought it was very eye-opening of just how it has given you back the most precious resource for any human, but maybe those, especially in sales, looking to get more in front of customers, which is time. Things that would take you weeks now take days takes hours. And as your confidence level rises in that, I think that's only going to accelerate.
Or does that scare you? Like, does that mean for you as an individual contributor, you now think of it like my leaders are expecting more out of me as a result?
No, I don't think it's as a direct result. I do think it's as an indirect result. And to that point, the other thing that I get from using all these tools that have been architected around our individual use case as AWS consultants is the quality of my output and the information I share with customers is better. And there's less hoops to jump through. There's less steps to take on the in-between when I'm pulling that all together and I'm trying to play quarterback and make sure that, we have a very compelling, very condensed and well understood scope of work for our customers to understand. Those processes in between have absolutely condensed themselves to my benefit, to our benefit.
Just the evolution. I mean, it's just making me think about it. But yeah, what we talked about today is, a year and a half ago, we thought having, Claude and Slack was like this huge,
super cool.
Yeah, it was super cool. And it helped us quite a bit. But now, creating SOWs, taking notes, prompting questions, turning around LOEs, it is a huge luxury and a benefit, and we rely heavily on it. So if it ever does go down, which it doesn't, I feel like sometimes we feel like we're dead in the water.
That's a great point. Yeah. I mean, what was once a luxury is now a necessity. Mm-hmm. What was once novel is now a staple.
Right.
And I think of this obviously in the business sense, but even on the personal side. So, the world is crazy right now. I don't think that's any secret. You open up any news web browser and you're just like, what is going on at times? And, I was a political science major in college, and I like to get into the fray a little bit, sometimes just to be combative for combativeness sake. And I'll be talking with friends, trying to get their points, because it's always good to have different, sides of views. And what they send me a lot of times is very plainly and patently outputs from ChatGPT or whatever the model is, right? If the conservative you're talking to uses Grok, then the liberal uses ChatGPT, and it's almost like the LLMs are fighting with each other, and there's so much reliance on these tools to make even well thought out political points, where it's like do people know what they believe,
Right.
or do they know what the LLM, like, that's when you start thinking and going down the rabbit hole of like, oh, I can see how this takes over original thought. But
Right.
Ben Affleck, the
Okay,
great
interesting switch.
technologist of our time, I promise there's a connection here.
Okay.
He was talking, I think, very eloquently about generative AI in the creative space in Hollywood.
Oh, I saw this in the Batman thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That
Sorry,
it's no
keep going.
real threat because the LLMs are designed to go towards the mean, right? It takes both sides of, let's say, the political opinions and tries to find the middle. Or on your shoe example, right? It doesn't want to make a decision, so it kind of goes in the middle. And so for artists, it's only going to create what has already been created because that's what it's been trained on. And any great art is always new, novel, pushing the envelope. And so he thinks there's no danger for AI movies, but I don't know. I've seen some of the outputs and it's like, wow, people can make like fan fiction trailers that get me fired up. I'm like, I want to see this. And it's like, oh, it's not actually real.
Right.
So it's interesting. Is this going to rewrite things on the entertainment side, or is it always going to find that middle ground? Or are we just early?
Okay, we got to talk about AI slop then. So like
slop.
Was a Merriam-Webster's word of the year as AI slop.
Sounds like a
deep fake.
Yeah, sounds like a grunge band name, but I'm here for it. Tell us about it.
No, so it's just the concept of people make stuff with AI, content, images, whatever, right? Stuff with AI, no little like meaning put into it, no heart put into it, and you put it out into the world, right? And so it manifests in ways like Reddit bots, right, who just write things, or you go on YouTube and every other video now is just some like random stuff, right, that you like, what the hell is this, right? It's because someone with AI made it, doesn't really feel like it's well put together, right? And it's taking over more and more of the internet. There's this whole theory called the dead internet theory, which is based off of like automations sort of filling the internet up too much that it's hard to use it anymore, right? And so like AI slop is starting to turn on anywhere. How do you protect against it in your own business, right? Like as that healthcare leader, they're probably nervous that the AI system is going to put out the wrong information for a patient, right? That's not even a hallucination. It just could be just like poor content. It could be correct, it's just bad, right? And that's still slop ultimately. So how do you think about that problem? How do you solve for it in your own jobs?
Well, how do I think about the problem first? AI is only trusted in certain use cases right now. It's not widely adopted, as we know, in making healthcare decisions. We're not at the point of fully agentic for those critical things that the world wants to solve for. Like I can remember reading something even a year ago, like, is AI under delivering on its promise of like being able to solve the world's hardest challenges? Like, why haven't we found a cure for cancer yet? And when I get into conversations, it's let's stick to what we know will work. And there's plenty to do.
Right.
There's lots of productivity gains. There's lots of money to be saved. There's lots of expansion of business models to be capitalized on. And so those conversations, I think, will evolve and happen in sequence over time. But for now, it's just, we as the expert can kind of provide guidance and stuff that's grounded in reality on where you can take this thing and where it's not ready yet.
Maybe that's a misconception too. When people that don't want to get into it think it might have to do everything that they do and not realize that it can do some of the heavy lifting, but it still requires some sort of manual review and additive, context from the actual user. So maybe there's some things there, but yeah, I do feel like sometimes we don't inspect and we just get the output and like, okay, this is it, versus being like, hey, is this real? Can we put our twist on it? Is it missing some things? So I think that's still something that we have to solve for.
Well, I think for me, my confidence score for AI fluctuates based on my most recent experiences. Sometimes, I will use it to be more productive, put in a prompt, and it'll blow me away. And I'm just like, oh, this is the future. Like it almost seems like witchcraft and wizardry.
Like your infographic?
Well, there's the other thing. I was trying to create an infographic for the slide that I was presenting at our kickoff. And I had, I would say, 98% of the content in Excel. I just wanted to pretty up a little bit. And I asked all the different LLMs in my frustration to do what I wanted to do. And in my mind, it was a very clear, specific prompt and ask that I was just looking to reduce time, see what the options are. And I was ready to be blown away. And a lot of the responses I got was, here's a cartoon horse going down a water slide. And I'm like, I got so frustrated.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I'm not worried about the AI takeover or, Skynet or anything. Like, we seem so far off.
Right.
And it was just based on, recency bias of my most recent experience. So obviously I've got things to learn on prompt engineering, but it was, kind of eye-opening for me that sometimes it doesn't get it right, and that affects my confidence in AI as a whole.
I'll tell you, so in my family, I'm the technologist. My wife is a paralegal, and she is discovering ChatGPT now. She's not like super big in the technology. It's always been a sort of interesting parallel in our
I'm shocked you're the
relationship.
technologist in the family, by the way.
Thank you. So she's like discovering it now. And my son is on the autism spectrum. And so she's been getting medical content from our doctors and so forth. And she's been putting in the ChatGPT and getting these outputs. And she's like, oh my God, it's amazing. And I'm just sitting there like, I know too much.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, I don't know if I would trust that. Like, we should go talk to them about this thing over here. I'm like, let's see what the doctors. It's just interesting. Like, the more you learn about the things, it changes your perspective of how amazing they are. And sort of hits sort of weird sort of inflection point that I've been having as to how trusting I am of it.
Yeah. I think it on the healthcare side, I know tons of people, right? The rise of hypochondriacs is going to go directly linear with AI. But I think, it empowers people to ask the right questions.
Right.
But you still have to go back to your, trained medical provider, have you get talked down off the ledge a little bit. So as always, useful tools, constantly iterating. We'll see what the next leapfrog version does to increase or decrease our confidence. But what a time to be alive. I was really fired up coming out of day one of our SKO, specifically feeling like we've made the right bets. They're becoming bigger bets, and there's great opportunity for us as a business and all of us individually in our jobs just to do more with the same.
Yeah. No, it's exciting times. We're super appreciative of where we are and excited for what this year brings.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. Chris, Evan, for joining.
Yeah,
Loved it.
Great.
Thanks
And
for having us. Hope we'll talk again soon.
We'll get some bigger chairs for next time.
That's right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks again.